right back with you to review the latest pro wrestling Rants, baby! We are back at the Wrestling Rants Control Center on a Tuesday. It's looking like it's on June 20th. 2023, and we are here for a mega rant on the weekend in Chicago, live at AEW Saturday Collision at the United Center. Hope y'all enjoyed all the content dropped. I kind of did it in little phases where I dropped some right away on Saturday, a little bit on Sunday into Monday, and then the final purge of content dropped today, Tuesday, with that last end of the Ring of Honor taping as part of Collision. So hope y'all enjoyed this content, some stuff you saw on TV, maybe a different camera perspective for you, and then some other stuff that you won't see on TV, such as the crowd reactions to Punk before Collision started, the Tony Khan appearances, the stuff after Collision, which we'll talk about in this rant as well. There was a lot of stuff on this show, a hot crowd, a really memorable time for myself. Had a great time at this show. The Ring of Honor stuff kind of dragged it down a little bit. I'll throw my thoughts down a little bit more on the Ring of Honor stuff, how this affects Collision and the Collision tapings as we move on in this rant. There's just a lot to talk about with this show. So before we get into the results, the match times, the match results, all that good stuff, let's talk about the numbers like we always do on our mega rants. So, first and foremost, some information on the show in general. As the week progressed last week, this song that you're hearing in the background became the theme for AEW Collision. That's Elton John's Saturday Nights All Right for Fightin'. I'm not sure if this connects completely as a wrestling theme, but, you know, it might grow on me. And they don't use it a lot during the broadcast. It's just the outset of the show. Then they have kind of stock music that they use for the rest of the show that actually kind of fits the vibe of Collision a little better. So just aesthetically, broadcast-wise, that was a take I got from watching it on TV after seeing it live. I actually just finished the show finally today, and just a few thoughts on this end. I thought the broadcast was vibrant, lots of different energy. It did not feel like a typical AEW television show, and that's a good thing. So if that keeps up, I think we're going to have two very uniquely separate shows in Dynamite and with Collision that are going to give you a different vibe, a different feel, and an overall different kind of energy, I guess you could say, on each show. This show felt a little more roped in, I guess you would call it, both from being there live and from watching the broadcast. I thought it just focused a lot better than most AEW shows do, so that is a good thing as well. Talked about the song with Elton John, Saturday Nights All Right for Fighting. The staging, when I showed up at the United Center, I was awestruck by the huge, wonderfully done stage set that they put on for Collision here. Just a fantastic looking stage. I was right by the side of the stage, so I got a pretty good look at it. And my feelings are that they may have gotten a brand new lighting and kind of ring kit, not just for the stage, but for the lights. It seemed brighter in the ring. Also to note, there was a lot of pyro on this show, more than usual. So I think that's part of the new lighting rig and the new production staging, is that we're probably going to be seeing more pyro. And in fact, in a weird thing you probably didn't notice, they actually had fire gimmicks coming off of the top of the lighting rig, above the stage. I've never seen that before from a wrestling show, so that was kind of different. There was a lot of smoke effects coming from the opposite side of the arena, and this was particularly noticeable during the Ring of Honor tapings after Collision. I do wonder if this wasn't if they were actively trying to make the presentation become more old school, you hear back in the day, I saw wrestling in a smoky arena, back in the 70s or something. I don't know if that was the idea here, that there was a constant flow of a fog or smoke machine coming from the opposite end of the arena, like I said, off of one of the corners. Just a weird production thing that I was kind of interested to see them implement. Attendance-wise, right before Collision on Saturday night happened, AEW sold about 9,300 tickets total. I would not be shocked if they went over 10,000 in attendance for this show. Man, I gotta turn this down a bit. This is kind of loud, isn't it? Kind of overtaking the rant here. Maybe just turn that down a touch. But I think they did over 10,000. It seemed very similar to Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, and much like the T-Mobile Arena, the United Center in Chicago is a large-scale arena. It can hold, in some cases, upwards of 18 to 20,000 people, similar to T-Mobile. This had over 10,000. Because of that, there was some top deck, particularly, was kind of scattered. Everything else was filled up pretty good. They apparently released some tickets for $30 on what they call the hard cam side, which is what you normally see in my videos. Some empty spots there. Those were tickets held until the last minute. They opened up for production, $30 a pop. Some of them sold, some of them didn't. That was a pretty good deal for tickets near lower level like that. But it is what it is. There was some openings there, but not a lot, to be honest. So likely over 10,000 in attendance. There has not been an official number yet. It'll probably come out later this week or something in the Observer. But Fast Nationals, the ratings, nothing official quite yet. Ratings supposed to finally come out tomorrow because we had a holiday this week, so things are a little bit delayed in the ratings. Fast Nationals, though, had about 815,000 viewers estimated. That is generally pretty close to the actual rating, but we'll see how close. But it would put it in line if that gets to be around that. That put it in line with this about the same rating that Dynamite did on Wednesday, which has to be considered a huge success. I think anything over 800,000 for total viewers on this show is going to be an awesome success to start out, because that Saturday night setting is a hard sell for people to check the show out. But I think people came out in droves, and I would not be surprised even when they come out with this rating. It may be over 1 million, folks. It's not that far away, so let's see where they go with it. Merchandise statistics weren't available at this time, but I can tell you from being there that the lines were long. I did not get merch. This shirt, as a matter of fact, which is the actual shirt from the event. If you look on the back here, you can see the writing on the back. This was the, I guess, official Collision CM Punk Second Coming Return shirt. But merch-wise, it went well, I think, for them. When I went and got this shirt, it was probably about an hour before the show was completely over. Ring of Honor was going on at the time. And they just had some of these shirts left and a few of a generic Collision shirt, which just had a bunch of wrestlers on it, basically. It's very generic. But that was about it. All the rest of the merch looked to be sold. So, good stuff by AEW standards, I think, for the merch. Announcing-wise, I thought this was a breath of fresh air with Kevin Kelly of New Japan being brought in for the play-by-play, with Nigel McGuinness coming in from Ring of Honor. These guys used to be a great team, speaking of Ring of Honor, back in the day in ROH. And it was nice, very nice to see them kind of getting back in the mix, bringing them back together for this show. That was a great idea. The inclusion of Jim Ross. Now that is another situation I am a little bit bit sour about. He took a fall right before this show. How many falls has Jim Ross taken? I'm getting concerned for him. This is not the first time he's sported a black eye. I think this is the third or fourth time he's taken a fall and gotten a bruise or black eye. And he was in no condition to even do announcing here. At the arena, when they announced him coming out for the main event, he did not come out on the stage, by the way. He was just walking, coming from the side of the arena, basically. It was kind of an awkward situation. Nobody knew where he was. And then all of a sudden, they look at ringside, and he's already at the announce table. So, all in all, I think they should reconsider having Jim Ross a part of this show. If he can get his shit together, yeah, I included him in some of the big main events, similar to what they kind of did back in WWE near the end there. I'm okay with that for Jim Ross, but that's about all I can take for him right at this point. He's got to take care of himself, and that's what's really important. Creative-wise, these guys have been rumored to be a part of the creative team or maybe laying out the matches, road agents for Collision. One guy in particular, Chris Hero, was brought in here to help out with things, so we'll see how that goes. Perhaps Jimmy Jacobs was involved here. He just got signed to AEW. He was creative in Impact, so he may have been involved here or will be involved here. Hard to say. They may use him for Dynamite. They may use him for both. Who knows? He's got a lot of creative background in his resume, so to speak, working with Impact forever, WWE creative, etc., etc. Other names that are appearing to be in creative is Bryan Danielson, Dax Harwood, Ace Steel may possibly be involved with creative with CM Punk as well. So whoever put together this show, or if it was a team of them, I gotta give them kudos because this felt different. This felt fresh, vibrant, a little bit of old school wrestling, some good old school wrestling tropes on this show. I felt like formatting wise, it was a little different than Dynamite. So 2 thumbs up creatively, I think so far. Time will tell how this will sustain. If this becomes a CM Punk show, or if we get kind of a balance on Collision with this. Hard to gauge after the first week, because this first week it was all about CM Punk damn near, with getting a good hour of time himself with the promo and the main event. Ultimately, it was a lot of time devoted towards the return of CM Punk here. No surprise. I mean, they're in Chicago. Why wouldn't you do that? But I am intrigued to see if this is a format that continues on with this show. Before we get into the results of the show and this music, my goodness, folks, I gotta turn that down again. Just a little bit. It gets a little loud here at the end there. Before we get into the results, a little trivia fact you probably don't know as it pertains to CM Punk and the United Center. I just pulled this out of my ass today because I was curious to, just for, I guess, information's sake, find out how long it was since Punk first came into AEW that first night in the United Center as part of Rampage back in August. In fact, it was August 20th, 2021. How long has it been since that first day Punk came in, and now here we are at the United Center on June 17th with Punk returning? Get this, guys. A total number of days, 666. I'm not bullshitting. You can look it up. You can do the math yourself. I am dead ass serious. It was exactly 666 days since CM Punk first stepped foot in an AEW ring on the night of Collision. How about that? I don't know if that's ominous. It is certainly something. I'll just say that much. We'll see where it goes with Punk and AEW. It can go one way or another. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground here. Time will tell. All right. Now that we have said our piece with the business side of things and some little factoids of the whole deal. Let's get into the actual results from the entire taping at the United Center last Saturday. So they kicked off with 3 matches for Ring of Honor. Then they went into Collision. It took a little bit of a break. There was a dark segment involving Punk and FTR as well after Collision went off the air, which you probably saw the video for right here, Wrestling Rants. If you hadn't, check out what happened after Collision went off the air. Look for that header title and you'll find that quite long, and it was about a 10-minute kind of segment there that Punk and FTR did with fans. Then after that happened, we got almost 2 more hours of Ring of Honor. I think it was a good solid hour and a half to hour 45 minutes. Keep in mind that ROH is attempting to do 2 hours of content every week. Well, that explains why that went a little long in the tooth after Collision. So let's get into the results here. Some of these match times are estimates for the Ring of Honor stuff, but it opened up the entire show. First match of the evening was a hot one. Gringo Loco over Willie Mack. This was real good. This was, I would call, the second best match of the ROH content. I went about 3.5 stars on this one. Went about 8 minutes, and it was non-stop action. Loco went over Willie Mack with a Spanish fly off the top rope. Great finish, great match, great opener. Awesome stuff. At this point, Ring of Honor was on a roll 1 for 1. Then we go to the match 2, Trish Adora over Allison Kay. This was pretty quick. I went about 4, maybe 4.5 minutes on this one. Adora wins convincingly with a hard clothesline for the finish. I went 2 3/4 stars. It was okay. It was all right. Then we got to Kyle Fletcher over Silas Young, a Ring of Honor mainstay. He's from Milwaukee. I gave this 3 stars. Again, some solid energy in this match, some good flow. I think it went about 5 minutes of work. It was a good back and forth match. And so far, really, these 3 matches were pretty solid on the Ring of Honor front. Unfortunately, after Collision, some of the matches just didn't hold the same weight as these ones did. So they're getting ready for Collision. Crowd's starting to get buzzed. Dasha comes out, gets the crowd going a little bit, talking about all the signs in the crowd, things like that. When Khan comes out, welcomes the crowd, yada yada. And then Collision kicks off, and the crowd is electric, big time. I love going to Chicago every single time. It doesn't let me down with the crowds. This was no exception. And then Punk comes out, and a different kind of Punk. Persona-wise in this one, he came off a little bit like Punk of maybe, 2013 perhaps. He had a little chip on his shoulder, kind of bitter, kind of salty, kind of sour in his approach, kind of holier than out. I said this to a buddy of mine. The cult of personality kind of rolled into this promo itself. I felt like he was kind of doing almost like a politician speech and putting himself over kind of a gratuitous kind of heel edge to it a little bit. And I don't know if that's where the plan is. I wouldn't be shocked if by maybe the end of the summer we see Punk going full heel. Then that would, of course, set things up maybe with Bucks. Maybe with Omega, who knows? One thing that I took from the promo was the fact that he was talking about the whole situation at the Brawl Out, not fully, but he was addressing it somewhat. He addressed the Bucks somewhat, calling them the counterfeit Bucks. These were all approved by AEW management, supposedly. So that makes me think that maybe there may have been something come to Jesus moment with Punk, the Bucks, Omega. Maybe Tony Khan actually sat these guys down sometime this week. I don't know, but I would think that Punk would not be able to get away with these lines if that was the case. Also, obviously, something to note from the promo, which I thought, by the way, was a fucking excellent return promo. No question about it. He had a lot of intensity in his words. He knew what he was saying. It was a very detailed promo, very, very concise, I would call it, and it hit all the tones, and it placated to this crowd big time. Now, how people will take the Punk out of Chicago is anybody's guess, because like I said, he came out pretty arrogant, kind of self-centered in this promo a little bit, thinking that he is really all that in a bag of chips. Basically, I got the gist from that. But the MJF stuff, certainly very subtle on this promo, but the stuff with the belt in the bag, they're obviously going to be doing this match, MJF and CM Punk. The question is when and where. I would like to think probably All Out. I think that would be the good destination point back in Chicago. Punk tries to get his belt back. We do almost a unification match of sorts between MJF and Punk. And I would think that this might be the time where Punk maybe cheats, defeats MJF, gets that title back. Or maybe MJF beats Punk and Punk loses his damn mind and turns heel after the match. Time will tell. I guess we'll see where they go with it, but a lot of interesting little points to this promo, definitely. No question about it. Then we move into the actual action of the show. The opener on Collision in the ring was the TNT title switch that I did not expect to see coming between Luchasaurus going over Wardlow. I don't agree with this. I thought the match was not that good for the opener of Collision. I expected something very memorable and newsworthy, and I can see on a booking standpoint why they wanted to open with this, because it was a title switch and they wanted to make a big deal of it. I think this would have fit better somewhere else on the show. I think the opener should have been the Andrade match, just my personal feelings. But I went 3 stars on this one. A 10-minute, 45-minute match. Lots of interference by Christian Cage. That finish with the camera, of course. And Luchasaurus wins. Christian basically appears to declare himself the champion. So I guess that's the big story coming out of this match. The other big story I have is, what do you do with Wardlow now? Question remains. I don't know, but I think you need to turn him heel. Turn him as a raging monster heel and see how that goes. Powerhouse Hobbs put his name in the Owen Hart tournament, officially on the show and on the backstage promo. Then we got to Andrade El Idolo making his AEW return. Big time pop. They were all the way for Andrade in this match against Buddy Matthews, and damn, I went 4 stars on this one. 13 minutes and 3 seconds. What a match this was. Especially for Andrade, who I believe this is only his second match since coming back from injury. Damn, very impressed. No question about it. This was one of the best matches. This and the main event were the best stuff on Collision, hands down. After the match, there was some stuff with the House of Black attacking Andrade. I expected somebody to come out to make the save. I kind of thought this would be Pride and Powerful maybe coming back together to help Andrade start off a 6-man feud with House of Black. We'll see where they go with it. It could be other members of LFI as well. I mean, time will tell. It could be Roosh, could be Jalistico, could be Preston Vance. Who knows? Scorpio Sky did a vignette after this. He'll be back, I would guess, next week. We'll probably have a match with him. Match 3 was pretty much a squash, not a full-out squash. Probably should have been. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I gave it 2.5 stars. A perfectly average glorified squash. Miro making his return. Once again, the crowd was just lit for Miro against Tony Nese. Miro convincingly over Nese on this one. We showed a quick Punk vignette, which was kind of a re-air from Dynamite after this. Then we got the women. Sky Blue, who was so fucking over in Chicago, and Willow Nightingale going over the Outcast team of Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. I went 3.25 stars. I thought the energy in this match was palpable. I thought a really a showcase for all four of these gals. Nobody really looked bad in this match. This was a win-win, which I thought was similar to the six-man, where everybody really benefited from that match. This one, everybody looked great. Sky Blue got the rub coming from Chicago. There was a real emotional moment after the match as well. And I went 3 1/4 stars, and only 8 minutes of work. These girls worked their asses off, no doubt. Ricky Stark's vignette after this match. He's in the Owen Hart tournament. Jeff Jarrett challenged Mark Briscoe for Dynamite in a concession stand brawl. And the Acclaimed did an in-ring promo with Tony Schiavone that pretty much just kind of reaffirmed that they were over in Chicago. This is where the scissor stuff kind of started. And they will be at Dynamite as well. Kind of expected somebody to run out here, possibly. That was the only thing that I could really be critical about Collision about, by the way, was there was no surprise, like somebody showing up or something on this show. It was probably originally going to be Mercedes Moné. It didn't happen, so I understand why there was no surprise. But it still would have been nice to see something, anything, happen for a big surprise, kind of give a nod to Monday Nitro of old in that first episode where Lex Luger showed up. This would have been a moment to have somebody big show up on the first episode of Collision, but is what it is. Then main event time, 6-man, 25 minutes, 12 seconds. I thought you could have maybe cut 5 minutes from this match and I've been all right with it, but the Joe Punk stuff was great. The Punk stuff with Jay White was phenomenal. Juice Robinson's role was great. I thought he did a great job of selling. Everybody's selling was actually top-notch. The FTR stuff with Bullet Club Gold. I want to see them guys have a match for the tag titles. I want to see Joe and Punk again. It's been almost 20 years since we've seen them one-on-one. So this hit a bunch of successful tones. I thought the match built well. There was good near falls. There was a really good sequence where I thought legitimately CM Punk was going to lose to Joe. And the finish was built well. Afterwards, Punk celebrated. Of course, nothing happened at the end of the show, which was a bit of a strange disappointment because I thought there'd be some cliffhanger to end Collision, but it is what it is. Afterwards, like I said, Punk and FTR were in the ring when cameras stopped rolling. They brought a person into the ring that was a cancer survivor or maybe currently going through some chemotherapy, and the fan held LGBTQT youth trans rights sign, and Punk put that over. The crowd was way behind this. This was a cool moment for sure. Check out that video right here at Wrestling Rants. You haven't seen it yet, so you can find out more what I'm talking about with that segment. Then Ring of Honor's second half took off, and this was a drag. After Collision aired, I'm not even kidding you, over half of the crowd left. So there was a lot of open spots. I ended up moving for this part of the show. I was more closer to the ring, dead center. And just a lot of underwhelming stuff on this part. Probably because they're working with half of the crowd. It's not very inspiring for the workers to be busting their ass when this is going on. But it is what it is. I've been saying a lot on this rant. Is what it is. Daniel Garcia opened up this part of the Ring of Honor tapings over Rocky Romero in a Pure Rules match. I went 7 minutes on it, 3 stars. Interesting thing from this one was that Romero lost his opportunity to grab the ropes because of the Pure Rules. And because of that, Garcia actually made him submit by wrapping him around the ropes, essentially, and choking him out, kind of. So he took advantage of the fact that this was a Pure Rules match, and he cheated kind of to win. Afterwards, Garcia was beating on Romero, and Orange Cassidy showed up in a bit of a surprise and got into it with Garcia a little bit. They're both as part of the tag on Dynamite with Zack Sabre Jr. and Katsuyori Shibata. Then we get to the Embassy. They had a squash over Trenton Storm, AJZ, and Luke Curtis. 2 minutes, I gave it a star. It was nothing. It was a squash. Dalton Castle went over Josh Woods in about, I'd say, 5 or 6 minutes. 2 3/4 star on this one. Upset on Ring of Honor. The Infantry beat the Kingdom in a 3-star match of 7 minutes or so. Trish Adora came out to get involved and get into it from Maria Kanellis a little bit. Kingdom screwed up on a double team spot, and the Infantry took advantage of it and won. Big Bill and Lee Moriarty over Matt Seidel and Blake Christian. I went 3 stars on this one. 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Some decent action in there, here and there. Alex Silver and Reynolds, the Dark Order, with -1 who was there. Went over Davey Bang and August Matthews, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I went 1.5 stars. Layla Gray over Diamante, 2 stars. 4 minutes of action or so. Layla Gray is pretty green. AR Fox action and Andretti. And Darius Martin over Shane Taylor and the Workhorsemen. This was pretty good. 6 minutes, I went 3 stars. And then the main event was solid. Athena over Kiera Hogan in a Chicago street fight. I gave him about 15 minutes of time. And this was an almost 4-star match. I went 3 3/4 stars. Check out all the videos I just dropped just tonight if you want to see some highlights from this one. And that was it for the Collision taping. I had a great time. I think Collision is an A-. They maybe have a little bit of work to go on fine-tuning some things, but this is a great start to AEW Collision on Saturday nights. All right, everybody, come back tomorrow. Midweek must-see matches right at ya, right here, Wrestling Rants, baby!